Okay, we are live. Hello and welcome to the August discussion board MVP live chat. For those of you tuning in live and for those of you catching up with us on the replay, thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Christy and I am on the marketing team here to support LEPSL, helping out with our live stream today. So at this point, I will go ahead and hand it over to Dr. Erik Fritsvold.
Well, thanks so much, Christy. Thanks for putting everything together here. And everyone in the law enforcement and public safety leadership community, thanks for joining us here this afternoon. As Christy mentioned, my name is Dr. Erik Fritsvold. I have the distinct honor and privilege of serving as the founding faculty member and academic director of our 100% online Master of Science degree in law enforcement and public safety leadership here at the University of San Diego. And the purpose of all of us coming together here today is really to celebrate the heck out of two of our students. We firmly believe that students are the heartbeat of our program, and more than anything else that our program has to offer, bringing together well-qualified, academically able students with unique and diverse law enforcement experience across geography, across role, across job description is really the most valuable part of our program. And to recognize and celebrate these students, you may remember last semester we rolled out a discussion board most valuable player initiative. And these discussion board MVPs, and I can testify to this personally, they raise the level of discourse, they attack the discussion boards with vigor, and quite frankly, they make our program and everything around them better. So with that as the context and the backstory, we actually have co-MVPs this semester voted on by their peers. So please join me in a heartfelt congratulations for our co-winners from the LEPSL 580 Law Enforcement Management and Conflict Resolution course. We have Austin Dembski, a police officer from the Gurnee, Illinois Police Department, and Marco Evans, the detective supervisor from just up north at the LAPD. So Austin and Marco, huge congratulations, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us here.
No, thank you.
So that's the context of the discussion boards. Again, we believe they're the heartbeat of our program. Austin, I'm going to start with you. What motivates you just to be so engaged on these discussion boards?
Yes, I think there's many motivating factors for me. And I think I'm in such a unique opportunity to be in this program. You know, only being a police officer for a little under 2 years and only being 23 years old. I think I'm in a better perspective, at least in this position, because I'm in this program with law enforcement leaders who have been in various types of law enforcement leadership roles, who have had 20+ years of experience. So for me to just be able to have a discussion and a dialogue with them on a weekly basis and getting all of their leadership techniques and tools that they've used over the years, you know, I'm kind of taking bits and pieces from every single person to form my own leadership style. And I think that's one of the biggest points, at least for me, in the discussion boards, because not only are you learning from the module material, you're learning from, again, the students in this program and truly learning from all of their experience that they've had. You know, in addition to that, everything in the discussion boards is all relative to current law enforcement events. You know, every single week, every single discussion board, I can at least think of something that's happened in the past week or the past month, you know, of a call I was on or some type of leadership issue that I've experienced in my department. And just being able to tie that back into the discussion board, you know, just simply putting out questions, you know, here's what I've experienced. This is what I did on this call. You know, what do you guys think? Or being able to get leadership experience and knowledge from other people, you know, truly keeps me motivated to go in every single week, you know, every single day, you know, pose new questions, ask questions, and just kind of also pose a different perspective as a police officer versus, like I said, many people in this program are, you know, sergeants, commanders, chiefs. So I think it's just a great overall opportunity to learn from everyone in the program, in addition to tying in the module material as well.
I'm really happy to hear that, Austin. Obviously, that's our goal, is to leverage your experience through what we hope is contemporary material. And it's good to hear we're hitting the mark, at least most of the time. Marco, same question for you, sir. What motivates you just to be so darn engaged on these discussion boards?
Well, you know, I took this as an opportunity to continue my education, something I decided to do after I graduated from college back in '04. But family got in the way, and the job got in the way, and I saw this as an opportunity to further expand my my knowledge of not just law enforcement, but networking with other law enforcement agents around the country. And the discussion boards allowed me that opportunity. I guess the main reason I was so active on the discussion boards is because there were real world incidents going on with the COVID response, and then of course the civil unrest. And the course material was so pertinent to the experiences that we were going through at the time. And I was very intrigued in listening to other law enforcement agencies and their response to the same thing that we were dealing with here in Los Angeles.
Marco, thanks very much. And you mentioned family commitments and professional commitments. So like many in our program, you balance often unpredictable and very demanding career with personal commitments and family commitments, and apparently also a rigorous Master of Science degree here at USD. Balancing all these things, just a nuts and bolts question. Do you have a time management strategy that's proven for you? I mean, obviously you're incredibly engaged. Is there advice in terms of an approach or weekly schedule that you might recommend to your fellow students?
Well, for me particularly, currently I'm assigned to internal affairs, so I have a fixed schedule, which allows me to have specific days off on a continuous basis. And I take advantage of the one of my days off to really focus on the course material, the papers that we have to write, the research I have to do. But throughout the week, what I found is every free opportunity I could get, usually early morning, I would log on and check the discussion board and see who posted what, and see if I could make a response. But also utilizing the apps that were provided through the iPad and through the cell phone, so I can keep up without having a laptop on what's going on. And it just allowed me, every free opportunity I got was to check and see what was going on. But specific days and times, I had one specific day I would choose during the week, which is Mondays. And then I would try to make sure Sunday afternoon, Sunday evenings, I would post everything and submit.
I really appreciate those comments. It's interesting that dovetails with the trainings that we have for our faculty. We argue that the teaching role, it's that much more rewarding when you're engaged every day, and whether that travels with you on a mobile device or if you're sitting in front of a laptop or desktop, the more you can chip away and truly engage, I think you get more out of the program. So I appreciate those comments very much. Well, gentlemen, I get to embarrass you both a little bit here. So Austin, I'm going to start with you. As mentioned, this is a peer-driven award. So when peers cast a vote for a fellow student, they not only cast that numerical vote, they also provide a couple sentences of rationale. So I just sampled a couple here. So Austin, and this is a direct quote from a nominating peer, quote, "Austin is well beyond his years in law enforcement. He posts early and often with insightful posts and is great to dialogue with. Austin will lead his agency in the years to come," unquote. Pretty strong praise there, Austin. So clearly your approach is resonating with your peers. In terms of substance, what makes for a good discussion board post?
Yeah, I think in terms of substance, well, to begin with the initial discussion board, I always like getting out early. So if you can post in that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, not only does that give you enough time to read everyone else's post, it gives all the other students in the class enough time to read your post. So when it comes to substance, I always like starting with a little bit of background. So if I'm going to talk about a certain unit in my department or a certain experience we've had in Illinois, I know many of the students are around the California area, so I always like to try a little bit of the context of, before I talk about the issue I'm going to talk about, I at least want to give them, hey, this is this unit or this is this issue. So when I dive into that problem or when I dive into that discussion board post, they at least have a little bit more knowledge about what I'm talking about. So that's what I usually like to start off with, is again, just a little bit of background. And then I usually dive into the issue of what I'm experiencing, whether it's a leadership issue, conflict resolution, budgeting, depending on what the module and the course is. And then I also like to tie in a little bit of empirical data, whether it's from the course material or outside resources. So if I'm going to be talking about a certain, for example, recruiting website or, a certain method that we've used at my department, I like to throw in either a link to our website or a link to whatever material I got that from. Because not only is that from the module material, but it also gives the students, another resources to see what I'm really talking about if they're not already familiar with it. And then usually I like to tie it together with personal experiences. So again, I know Marco and myself have both mentioned this so far, is there's always something relative in current law enforcement that we're dealing with in this program as well. Whether it is COVID, whether it's a budgeting issue, which most police departments are experiencing right now, or conflict resolution, there's always something I've experienced that week or that month that I can tie into that discussion board post. So again, I like putting that personal element in it as well, saying, hey, I went on this call, this is what I've experienced this week. This is the conflict resolution technique I've used. What do you think about it? Because I love getting feedback from law enforcement leaders about something I've done. And I also like providing feedback to them from my perspective as well. So I think tying all that together, getting background, providing empirical data, and also putting that personal touch on it really brings the discussion boards together, because at the end of the day, even though this is an online program, when I go on every single day, I usually feel like I know all the people in the program. I know their name, I know their university, I might know they went on vacation last week because they also shared that in the discussion board post. So it really is, a law enforcement family within this educational realm as well.
I love that law enforcement family mantra, and I really appreciate the background, issues, empirical evidence, personal experience approach. That's systematic and really resonates me as a social scientist, to be sure. So Marco, you're not getting off easy as well. So one of your peers that nominated you said, quote, Marco's discussion board posts are timely, typically first. And I must admit, in the preparation for this session, I went on and looked at some of your past classes, and every discussion board I looked at, you were the first poster on that particular discussion board, everyone I looked at. So back to the quote. They are well-written, articulate, and revolve around current conflict issues and real-life scenarios. The posts and scenarios are believable and could be occurring in any law enforcement agency across the country. These posts lead to good back and forth conversations. His follow-up posts are timely, appropriate, and really advance the conversation, unquote. Again, really strong praise. So Marco, what's the key to success? What makes for a good discussion board post?
Well, I think the subject matter is the most important. In looking at some of the things that were going on at the time, they were so relevant to the discussions that we were doing in the conflict resolution class. And I believe that I enjoyed listening to other agencies and what they were saying or what they were experiencing, especially the smaller agencies. I come from a larger agency, a little over 10,000 officers. And so to hear how they attacked these real world problems really helped me to better understand how to apply the techniques that we were learning about, specifically in the conflict resolution class. Also in the current class I'm in right now with financial budgeting. So I appreciated everybody's comments, and I took to heart some of the things that they said because it's relevant to law enforcement and to the community that we're all involved in, and to further the discussion on how to make our profession better. Plus, I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Nothing like a little caffeine and vigor to really attack those discussion boards with a little extra insight. I appreciate that very much, Marco. And I assume being just a few hours north of us that our university is at least on your radar. So Austin, this question is for you. Being from Illinois, how did the University of San Diego and our law enforcement leadership master's degree get on your radar? How did you learn about the program?
Yeah, so actually about a year ago, myself and one of my partners at work, who is also now in the LEPSL program, we were both interested in finding a law enforcement master's program that was, again, specifically for law enforcement that we could use in our law enforcement career. So it just started with some simple, Googling for online master's programs specifically for law enforcement. University of San Diego was one of the ones that popped up. I think there was either 2 or 3. So again, we requested the course material and the course list from University of San Diego. Again, it was just that single sheet, and just looking at, the topics of each course and the simple description, that was kind of the first selling point. I mean, because if you look at it, it's conflict resolution, it's budgeting, it's leadership, it's everything that we deal with as a police officer and a law enforcement leader on an everyday basis. It's not just a master's program where you might read about some theories, you might read a textbook, and then you might use it, 10 years down the road. This program stood out as, this is something you're going to use on a daily basis, and it's going to help you become a better law enforcement officer and a law enforcement leader. And then from there, we went on the University of San Diego website and just looking at all the various departments represented in this program, along with reading all the testimonials about, what all the students have said about the program. That was kind of that final selling point, which made myself and my partner also go with this program, and we're now both enrolled in LEPSL. So again, that's how we found out about it. It just, right away it stood out as this is definitely a program for law enforcement, and it's definitely going to help you in a law enforcement career.
I'm really happy to hear that. We're pretty privileged to be in a unique administrative position to be able to do something unique and different. And quite frankly, I've been pretty humbled by the response, and I'm happy to hear that response. And much of the credit on the course descriptions and titles that you read goes to Christy here, who's hosting our little event today, who gave her editorial spin on all that. So thank you for the good work there, Christy. As we push towards wrapping up here, Marco, any ground we failed to cover? Any final thoughts for our law enforcement and public safety leadership community here?
Yeah, one thing I'd like to say though is all the people involved. What I like is the plethora of experience from captains, commanders, chiefs to police officers who are fresh in their careers. And I'm midway through my career, so it's nice to kind of glean from both sides of the spectrum, from the newer officer to the more experienced retired officer who's teaching the classes. I find that the program has been great in developing strategies to attack some of the issues that we're dealing with in law enforcement, and make, again, like I said before, to make the profession better. As being a member of the Los Angeles Police Department, we experience a lot, we see a lot, but it's unique to Los Angeles. So to hear the different perspectives from other law enforcement agencies that the program gets to provide through the application of the online courses and the discussion board, of course, makes it so much more real world, and it opens up the networking opportunities. And I'm happy to be part of that.
Well, we're honored to have you, Marco, and thank you for the kind words. Austin, as we push towards the finish line here, any final thoughts for our folks here today?
I think we've hit everything pretty well with the discussion board. I just wanted to take this last opportunity to thank you, Erik, for all you've done for this program, all the other faculty and staff, and also all the other students in the program, because like I said, the most learning for me comes from the discussion board in addition to the module material. So it's definitely helped me in my law enforcement career so far. And I know I got 33 years before I can even think about retiring. So I got a long way to go. So I just want to thank you all for all the hard work that you do and all the students that kind of go through that dialogue in the discussion boards.
Thanks so much for the kind words. It's definitely like a genuine honor on my side of the desk to do something to support this critically important profession. I mean, you all make such a difference in people's lives every day. It's, I think you get into teaching for many of the same reasons you get into law enforcement, to try to make a positive difference. And I feel like maybe we're doing that through the trickle down effect by empowering y'all to have a larger influence, and then hopefully being able to contribute to the good work that y'all are doing in the community. So we appreciate it so very much. So everybody, please once again, join me in vigorously congratulating Marco Evans and Austin Dembski, representing the United States here in the LEPSL program. This is from our LEPSL 580 Law Enforcement Management and Conflict Resolution course, co-discussion board most valuable players. They clearly earned it through their vigor and insight. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us. And Christy, I'll kick it back to you here.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yes. And thank you again to those of you who are tuning in live with us today. And then for you guys that are watching the replay, we appreciate you taking the time to jump in and watch. And we will see you next time. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.